The day after Columbus, what you were never told. Hey Ram, welcome back to Boring History. Yes, I know, most of you clicked because you thought this was going to be another boring episode about ships and maps. But trust me, today we're not discussing Columbus like some textbook hero. We're discussing what happened the day after his landing. The part where the fairy tale ends and the real bloodshed begins. October 12, 1492. Columbus stepped off the Santa Maria and kissed the sand like he'd just won the lottery. He thought he was in India. Spoiler, he's not there. He's in what we now call the Bahamas, an island the locals called Guanahani. The people there? Taino. They're not Indians, not even close. They're just ordinary people, living their lives, fishing, growing corn, dancing in the moonlight. And then, suddenly, 3 ships arrived. Columbus wrote in his diary, "They are very strong, their bodies are quite beautiful. They would make good servants." Yes, that was his first thought. Wow, what a great culture. Not like that. Let's learn their language. Not like that either. Just servants. So what happened next was this. Day 1, the Taino came out. They were curious. They brought fruit, cassava, water. They exchanged gold, small pieces like earrings, because they thought these strange pale people were gods. Columbus, he held their wrists, he examined their ears. He saw gold, and it hit him, jackpot. By the 3rd day, he started kidnapping. I'm not kidding. He takes 7 Taino on board. He says he'll teach them Spanish and show them the way to heaven. That means he'll sell them, or use them as translators, or both. A week later, Columbus sails to Hispaniola, now Haiti and the Dominican Republic. There he meets more Taino, bigger villages, better gold. So he does what any explorer would do. He demands taxes. Every 3 months, gold. If there's no gold, your hand will be cut off. Yes, hand cut off. Not by some movie villain, by the man we call an inventor. They tied people to trees, cut off their fingers, and left them bleeding. And you know what? The Taino didn't have much gold. They made jewelry out of river pebbles, very small things. But Columbus wanted a lot of gold. So he set up a quota system, like a tax. But if you failed, death. Someone, Bartolomeo de las Casas, later wrote about it. He was there. He saw it. He said, "They were hanged, burned alive, impaled. Mothers killed their own children so they wouldn't be taken." And here's the most disgusting part. Columbus didn't live there. He took the evidence back to Spain. The 7 Taino men, some gold, some parrots. Said to the king, "This place is empty. Just take it." King Ferdinand, "That's enough. Go back, bring more." So the second episode, 1493, 17 ships, over 1,000 men. They landed again. This time, no trade. Just guns, swords, dogs. They herded the Taino like cattle, made them mine, made them build. And when they died, so what? It doesn't matter. 4 years after the discovery, by 1496, the Taino population of Hispaniola had dropped from maybe 200,000 to less than 50,000. Why? Disease, starvation, and outright murder. Smallpox, measles, diseases they had never seen before. Columbus brought them, as if they were a gift. And the mines? They worked people there until their lungs were useless. But here's where things took a strange turn. The Taino resisted. Not with guns, they didn't have any. With fire, with poison, by fleeing to the mountains. One of their leaders, Caonabo, ambushed a Spanish fort, killed 20 people. Columbus sent soldiers, captured him, put him in chains, shipped him to Spain. He died on a boat. Another woman, Anacaona, tried to make peace. She invited the Spanish to a feast. They showed up, then they killed everyone. She was hanged. And you know what the textbooks say? Columbus brought civilization. No, he brought hell. But wait, there's more. Because this wasn't just one man's work. This was the blueprint, the way America began. Not with the pilgrims and the turkeys, with chains, with quotas, with blood. So the next time someone says Columbus discovered America, tell them he didn't discover it. He just stole it. So Columbus is gone, back in Spain, bragging about his new world. But in Hispaniola, the Tainos are still alive. Somehow. They've seen what happens when you give them gold. They've seen hands cut off. Mothers bury their children alive so the Spanish can't take them. They've seen friends dragged into mines who never come back. And now, they're finished. It's begun. The first real rebellion. Not some Hollywood big war. Just quiet. Angry. The talk of the common people. Enough. One name you should remember is Enrique. He wasn't a king, nor was he a warrior born with a sword. He was a teenager, raised by Spanish priests, learned their language, learned their tricks. Then he said, "I'm leaving." Enrique fled. He took about 30 people with him, men, women, children. They hid in the mountains, the Bahoruco Mountains. Thick jungle, steep mountains, no roads. The Spanish couldn't follow them. They tried. They sent dogs, they sent horses. But the Tainos knew every stone there, every river. They poisoned the wells. They rolled huge stones down the mountain. They disappeared like ghosts. And the strangest thing was, they didn't just hide. They fought. Not with guns, no. With spears, with fire, with cunning. They raided Spanish farms at night, stealing food, burning crops, leaving messages, "Go home," with blood. The Spanish panicked. They called it the War of the Mountains. They sent in an army, hundreds of soldiers. Enrique laughed. He ambushed them, killed the officers, tore off their armor. Now he had a sword. Now he had a horse. Years passed. 1519. Enrique's army has grown to hundreds. They're not just surviving, they're winning. The Spanish governor, Diego Columbus, yes, Christopher's son, he's furious, sends out a huge expedition. Enrique traps them in a valley, rains down arrows, kills half of them. The rest flee. And then, listen, Enrique did something no one expected. He negotiated. Not surrender. Peace. On his own terms. He said, "We will be free. We will keep our land. We will stop plundering if you stop hunting us." The Spanish? They agreed. Why? Because they were tired. Because they were losing. Because Enrique had proven one man, 30 men, a mountain, can defeat an empire. The treaty was signed. Enrique got his land, the first free land in the Americas. Not stolen, not given, taken. But wait, that's not a happy ending. Because the Spanish, they lied. They waited. Then, after Enrique died, they came back, wiped out his people, burned down his villages. And history? I forgot about her. The textbooks say Columbus discovered America. They never say Enrique defended it. Another name? Anacaona. She was a queen, not by blood, by honor. She ruled Zaragoza, beautiful place, palm trees, river. The people loved her. She tried to make peace. She invited the Spanish captains to a huge feast, dancing, food, songs. They showed up, laughed. Then she drew her sword. She killed every male. She dragged Anacaona away. She hanged him in front of his own people. Why? Because he was much more powerful, because he had the gold, because he said no. And the Tainos, they kept saying no. In small ways. They hid, they poisoned their food, they fled, they died. By 1550, the Tainos of Hispaniola, almost extinct. Only a few hundred left, hidden, blending in with the fleeing Africans, becoming a new entity. But the Spanish? They called it extinction, as if they hadn't done it. So what do we learn? Columbus didn't discover anything. He invented a machine that ate people, that churned up the earth, that churned up gold and corpses. But the Tainos, they weren't prey. They were warriors. They were mothers. They were children who ran to the mountains. They were queens who laughed and then struck. The next time someone says America was uninhabited, tell them it wasn't. And the people who lived here, they fought, they died, but they never forgot. 3. You, the Taino, are disappearing. The mountains are quiet. Enrique's protest just leaves. The Spanish are back. More ships, more cannons. But something new is emerging. Not from Europe, from Africa. From the alliance of the 1490s to the 1500s, the Spanish start bringing slaves. And not from the Taino, because they die out too quickly. So they bring people from West Africa, Senegal, Angola, Congo. Put them in chains, ship them across. Call them cargo. The first ship? In 1501. 25 Africans. They come to Hispaniola. And what's more surprising? They don't just work hard. They're the Taino. Bloodthirst. The chains. And they think, it's our turn next. So they escape. Location: Taino plus African. Towards the same mountains. They call them Cimarrons, herders. Later, Maroon. One, Juan de la Quero. That's not his real name. He was Yoruba. He was captured from Nigeria. He was in Santo Domingo. He worked in the sugarcane field. Then, he breaks his chains. He escapes. He finds some of the Taino who have returned. They teach him jungle techniques. He teaches them how to make machete, sharp weapon. They set up camp, hidden. Wives. By 1520, these groups grew. Hundreds. They raided plantations, freed slaves, burned sugarcane fields. The Spanish call it terrorism. They call it freedom. And here's the surprise. They don't just fight. They live. They cultivate. They marry Taino women with African men. Babies are born. New blood. New language. New songs. Drums and flutes meet. Cassava and yams meet. The Spanish try hard. Secrecy. Burn villages. Hang themselves. But the mountains? The mountains swallow them. Every time. A big man, Lemba. He was Angolan. Tall. Quiet. A close-knit group of 200. They find a gold mine. The guards. With gold. Not for me. For weapons. Why do they get guns from smugglers? Now they're not just running. They're hunting. The Spanish governor is terrified. The citizen passes, Lemba, dead or alive. The Lemba laughs. Sent back, take my head, if you can find it. They never found it. He died old, in the mountains. The lives of grandchildren. But what's the story? They won. Not to be liked. From safety. To be something that spans the span. Through the mill. Taino plus African plus whatever comes later. It began. This is the Dominican Republic. Not by Columbus's hand. Those who said no and kept it. And you know what? Today, you go to Haiti. You hear the drums. You see the faces. Black, brown, force. You eat cassava with rice and beans. Look, the Taino never died. They just forgot. Columbus? He's a statue now. A power. A word. But Enrique, Enba, Anacaona, they're the ghosts of the mountains. Still watching, still winning. So the next time someone says, "It was discovered," tell them, "No, that was done too." Then, it was the same thing again. Not boring, not neat, just true. Thanks for watching Ram Boring History. If you're learning something, share it, because history dies. It's just waiting for someone to tell the right story.